This is the opportunity for you guys to ask me anything related to Microsoft. As you see, I have my Microsoft um, badge on. I'm in the Microsoft office. I'm based here in Microsoft Atlanta. I'm a cybersecurity program manager here at Microsoft. I work with the Bing search team. Do a lot with anything around under the Bing umbrella, from Microsoft ads, sports, news. Again, I do cybersecurity, so sometimes I'm on call. Not my favorite part about the job, but I still do it. So 24/7 on call, 6 weeks out the year. I'm also a part-time college professor, where I teach a lot of different things from data analytics, cybersecurity, um, anything around the tech domain. So looking forward to answering any questions about Microsoft culture, maybe about tips of how to break into Microsoft, or some nice certification that may some of the turn the heads of some of the recruiters here at Microsoft. So it's just really opportunity for you guys to get to know me. I get to know you, and just see how I can help. So feel free to ask away. I think there's a question and answer section. Question and answer section that I think we're going to leverage, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Okay, let me answer some of these questions on question and answer. So I have a good question right here. What was the interview process like for you, and how did you study for that? That's a great question. So the interview process, the first process at Microsoft, is that a recruiter will just message you. They will ask you a question such as, they'll basically look at your resume, and they'll try to see how your resume can match maybe the job description. So they're just asking base level questions. So for instance, if you're trying to be a technical PM, which is what I was applying for at the time, which is also a security program manager, they'll ask you basic level questions. About what you did in your background, explain a little bit about that, just to make sure that you're a good fit. That interview is not really long. Then, if you do good and it seems like you're a good fit, you guys are both aligned between you and the recruiter. They'll pass your resume to the hiring manager. The hiring manager will look at your resume, and then from that point on, the hiring manager will ask more detailed questions. They're going to really dive into your resume. They're going to dive into your technical skills. So, for instance, I was asked a lot about security. If there was an incident in our environment, how would you respond? So they're going to dive into those experiment questions, and they're going to ask, why Microsoft? Why did you pick this organization? My answer was the diversity and inclusion. I feel like Microsoft was one of the most diverse big tech companies at the time when I was applying. So they're going to really try to see what you can do for them, what your background really is based in. And then from that point on, you have an interview called the Loop. The Loop consists of maybe 4 to 7 different individuals. Some of them are on your team, some of them are not. So I had about 5 interviews, which was called the Loop. I had one person that was not on the team, and then 4 other people were actually either on the team or peer groups of the team. And they were asking a lot of different questions. I mean, they were asking things about my background. Of course, they were asking things about um, the cloud, the Azure cloud. Have I worked anywhere in the cloud? They were asking project and program management questions, like how would I handle this project if this project was given to me? What are the steps that I would take? How would you scope out the project? How would you scope out the budget, the hours of all your engineers and dev hours and stuff of that nature? So they were diving really into like the program and project management piece of the job as well. Another thing that I would like to point out, that if you look at the Microsoft interview project, if you look at the Microsoft um, career site, excuse me, if you look at that, there's something called core competencies. Those competencies, you really want to match a story of your past experience to each one of those competencies, whether if it's customer focus, adaptability, and so many of them. So there's like about 5 or 6 of them, and you really want to match stories across those 5 or 6 of them, so you'll be able to make sure you hit those marks. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the next question, because I am getting a lot of questions. I'm getting a lot of love today. Let's see, what's another question. Is the elite program a good way to get in? So elite program here is really opportunity to recruit and develop and upskill the talent. It's a 16-week program. I personally have not been a part of that program, but I've had a lot of colleagues within Microsoft that have done that program, and sometimes it can be a pipeline to get in those programs. So yeah, I would definitely say go ahead and get that shot. Go ahead and get that. It gives you a base foundation of technical training and technical understanding about the real products such as Azure, Xbox, Office 365. So you get that real exposure and that hands-on experience. So another question. Oh, I have another good question. I think this is very important to talk about. How do you handle hiring freezes? Now that Microsoft is going through a hiring freeze, a lot of companies are going through a hiring freeze, especially with the economy being so uncertain. Us being in a recession, but not really a recession, is still unclear there. So, with that being said, I think it's always good to really sharpen your toolbox, right? Look at those different certifications. Some of the certifications, and one thing about me, I'm never going to tell or give advice to something that I haven't done. So, one thing about me is when I was looking to get into big tech, I really jumped into a lot of certifications. I was really looking at AWS Cloud Practitioner, which is the beginning level certification about AWS. I look into Azure 900, which is the beginning cloud certification for Azure at Microsoft. So some of those certifications really will turn heads. If you're looking at the PMP, if you're trying to be a project manager, you have the PMP, the associate level one of that, which I tell a lot of my students to go for, as a CA, PM. So there's a lot of different certifications in there. So how I handle this time how I handle this time during the hiring freeze, sharpen your toolbox. Look at some of those associate level, junior level certification, or look at something if you're higher than that. If you feel like you're mid level or senior, look at the PMP. Look at the 0500 security engineer. Look at the different AWS cloud architect, which is a big one. So look at some of those certifications, sharpen your toolbox, rebrand your LinkedIn, rebrand your resume. That's what I would do during this time, and just look at different ways to advance yourself. What is the best way to grab a Microsoft recruiter attention as an entry level software engineer? I would definitely, one of the best ways I really grab the recruiter's attention is leveraging LinkedIn. I would type in the company that I'm trying to work for. Now I would type in either talent acquisitions, or I would type in recruiting, try to connect with them on LinkedIn, or a lot of these companies, especially at Microsoft, especially if you're a software engineer, connecting with a lot of the recruiters, not necessarily just trying to throw your resume or try to tell them that you really need a job. Ask them, do they have any networking events coming up? Do they have any opportunities to mingle or happy hours, any type of the opportunities to learn what Microsoft is about? A lot of these companies are hosting networking events, and sometimes those networking events either turn into opportunity to either get your foot in the door for an interview, or just at least have that conversation to have a future interview down the line. So someone just talked about, wow, I just recently just got my master's degree in IT with a concentration in cybersecurity. Is there any tips on how to get into the field? Well, it really depends. It depends on where you want yourself to go in this field. Of course, you're looking for an entry level position, but don't turn down those internships. Sometimes you have to take a step back to really propel all the way forward. So I definitely intern. I also have my master's in cybersecurity as well. So definitely, if there's an opportunity to intern, or there's an opportunity to shadow somebody, just to get your feet wet, understand how things really work. Because what you learn in your master program is one thing, but when you actually get that hands-on experience and you really understand the different tools, regardless if you're a part of vulnerability management, a security program manager, or whatever the case may be, it's always a great opportunity to get your feet wet in the field. Excuse me. So going back to that, how do you get yourself in the field? Really look at those internship opportunities. If you're not looking for internship opportunities, really just use that opportunity to really join professional organizations. There's a lot of professional organizations such as ISACA. They have the Atlanta chapter. I'm based here in Atlanta. Of course, wherever you may be based, they may have a chapter that's based regardless if it's New York, Chicago, California, Texas, wherever the case may be. So really look at those professional organizations such as ISACA. ISC squared is also another good one, and really tap into those network and those different pools, because you never know, those opportunities can open a door. Hmm. Somebody said if I had an application that got transferred and I never heard back about what it does for me, no. If I had an application that got transferred and never heard back about what does that mean for me. So if you basically applied and your application got transferred and you never heard back, I some of the best things I recommend is probably connecting with someone, a recruiter on LinkedIn. I'm not sure if I need more context to that question. Maybe you may have a contact that gave you a referral for a job there, or maybe the recruiter, you actually got connected to a recruiter and they said they're going to transfer your application. Just ask them, is there anything you need to do? Keep you in mind for future openings or anything of that nature. So it really just depends. I need additional context for that answer to give you an answer for that. I have another question. What approach is best to take in order to get your resume in front of the right recruiter at Microsoft? Some of the what's the best approach to get your resume in front? I would probably say networking events lead into I'm sounding like I would say if you're trying to get your resume in front of a recruiter, well, there's different approaches there. So if you guys are careers and you guys are still in undergrad or whatever the case may be in your graduate program, definitely connect with those resources at your university, such as career services. They may even have a portal, do those different networking events, or really just try to connect with those people on LinkedIn. Again, I always do a search on the company and then the recruiter. Hey, Fortune, as far as getting into Microsoft and a data analytics or program science product management role, how are they in terms of entry level requirements? With certifications like Tableau and Power BI help? Absolutely. Um, I never thought, even in my job right now, I'm a cybersecurity program manager. And I use Power BI more than I ever thought I would. Power BI and Tableau, I'm glad you call those two out. Those are excellent tools to use, especially in the analytics space. If you're interested in doing like being a big data scientist, a scientist, a data scientist, or you're interested in anything, just being in any analytical space, Power BI and Tableau are always the go-to. I feel like, in my personal opinion, that you should really look at. And then for the program manager role, product, I know a little bit about product, but I don't know if there's actually a key certification that I'm well familiar with about product. But for program, which is right underneath project management, you have project management, then you have program manager, and you have the portfolio manager. I always recommend, if you're just starting off your career, I always recommend the CAPM. I think it gives you the opportunity to get your feet wet. And then from CAPM, I always recommend the PMP. The PMP is a golden level certification. It will turn the heads of anybody interested in recruiting or hiring somebody that's in the PM space. Another thing that I would like to mention is that also don't overlook those uh, Coursera certifications that are powered by Google. I actually did one of them. I actually did the Coursera one that is focused on project management. I think like the first month is like free, and after that they charge you like 14.99 or 7.99. I can't remember. Don't quote me on the price, but they charge you a small amount after the first free month on actually trying to figure out how to pay for those certifications. But again, the project management one was actually really, really smooth. It was sweet. It had videos, it had study sessions, it had tests. And actually, that course prepared me for my PMP. So after I actually did the Coursera project management course, it basically counted towards my 35 hours of applying for the PMP. And I just think it helped me understand the whole concepts of just a project manager in general, a program manager. And the last thing I want to mention is that when I was actually coming into Microsoft, I was actually a senior consultant. Yeah, I was doing program manager, project management tasks here or there, but I think that course really put everything together for me and allowed me to really take off from that point on. How does referrals work at Microsoft? Referrals work at Microsoft. Well, if you know somebody, you're connected with somebody at Microsoft, definitely send them a message. Or I'm not sure how close you are with them, whether if you text them or message them on LinkedIn, send them a message, and they can definitely refer you for a position, depending on your relationship with them. Mm. For the people that are 5+ years into their career, what's a good way to stand out in a more competitive job search? If I am 5+ years. Let me ask myself, what am I doing to stand out? I think what I'm doing is joining professional organizations, joining ERGs if you have that opportunity to join that your organization. Because not only does it build your networking opportunity, because sometimes not all about what you know, it's about who you know. And I feel like if you continue to build on that network, I feel like something will fall in line. So working with those professional organizations. I know I'm a few organizations. We have Technology Association of Georgia. Like I said, I'm based here in Georgia. Or if you have something of that sort, those professional organizations or those networking events that you have going on, like Textgiving, for example. Join Textgiving, see how you can involve, get involved with Textgiving. There's a massive network. Like um, um, for instance, like in the next week or so, I'm going to be traveling to my parents' native country, and there's going to be opportunity to have a networking session there with some of the people at the location that I'm traveling to. I mean, that's just a great example. So organizations like Textgiving is great. Really wanting to build up your network. So I would definitely would put emphasis on networking, and also just really joining those organizations to build your network and just see what other people are doing, and also building knowledge. Also, don't be afraid to try to get your name out there by joining different panels. If they're having different panels and looking for people to speak, or different opportunity to have speaking engagements, that's probably what I would do. I'll probably just have an opportunity to put myself out there and be more exposed to broaden my network. Have you had a candidate reach out to you on LinkedIn? If so, what type of message stands out to you? Is there a certain template or subject line you're looking for? If not, how would you approach messaging a hiring manager so you stand out? I have people reach out to me, but I'm not a recruiter to answer that question. But from what I know and when I was searching, some of the creative things that I did, or some of the things that helped me, is that of course, I would definitely leverage LinkedIn. I would comment on some of their posts, like if they had a networking event or hey, we're hiring for this position. I would definitely be commenting on those posts, because sometimes those recruiters' inboxes can be so flooded that they just don't have time to look at it. But however, if they're able to comment or ask them to DM you the information, sometimes commenting on those posts or those different posts they post on LinkedIn if they're hiring for a job, that's usually the best way. My best advice is make LinkedIn your best friend. LinkedIn's your best friend, especially in today's society. A lot of people are just going digital. A lot of people are getting hired from LinkedIn. Some of my jobs just came in just off of a relationship, just reaching out to a LinkedIn individual that was a recruiter. So how I got hired at Microsoft was that there was a recruiting event. I reached out to the recruiter. I actually commented on her thing and said, "Hey, I'm interested. Would love to know more information. Please DM me." She DM'd me the recruiting information. From that point, I was able to join the event and then do really well in the interview during the recruiting interview event that they were hosting. So that's really all it takes. Sometimes it's not as easy, it's not as simple as I make it seem, but it's definitely worth a shot. So definitely comment on those individuals and feel free to let them know that you're looking for opportunity. You mentioned telling us that you mentioned telling us that Microsoft that you wanted to work there partly because of the diversity. Did it live up to their expectations? Uh, yeah. So far, right now, I've been at Microsoft for about a year and 8 months, going on 2 years. So far, it has given me the opportunity of what I thought. I think the blacks at Microsoft here, which is our ERG group, is very strong. I actually became a leader of blacks at Microsoft not too long ago. I'm the career development lead here at Blacks at Microsoft. So I have the opportunity of building out the ecosystem and building out the talent within our own internal employees, of just basically growing that out, providing them the necessary tools on how to elevate and upscale their skills, regardless if it comes down to something that we do connect, which is our basically our annual review of what we do. We call it our connects here, and just host different events, host different sessionars, host different conferences like this. I have a signature conference that I host every Juneteenth. as the career development lead. It's called Empowerment Day. The most recent one was just this past Juneteenth. We had Ken Fields. We had so many keynote speakers come out and just talk to us a lot about how to make Microsoft work for us. I think Microsoft is always willing to work for our people. It just has to be an opportunity that we take advantage of it. And so far, it has lived up to expectation. And they also paid for my trip to go to a conference called Afrotech. If you have not heard about it, definitely tap into it next year. Afrotech is amazing. It's a great conference. It's a great opportunity to network. And it was definitely all sponsored by Microsoft. This is a great question. I love this question. How has Microsoft supported you in your career development? Do you have skip level supports? Do you have skip level support and an actual plan to get to leadership or promotions? That's a great question. First of all, I want to talk about how Microsoft supported me in my career development. I'm also a part-time doctoral student. I am wrapping up my doctoral program in cybersecurity in a school called Marymount University. Microsoft has developed and gave me the opportunity to provide me 10K tuition reimbursement a year. That's an opportunity for those who work at Microsoft. They'll give you 10K for tuition reimbursement. I was a part of this grant for a program that I had that allowed me to decide to get my doctoral program, but I was a little bit short. But then when I landed at Microsoft, they played the rest of it through the 10K. So Microsoft, right off the bat, has supported my educational goals and my dreams of wanting to be a long-term professor and later on possibly a dean or whatever the case may open up down the line. So Microsoft has supported my educational career. Another thing Microsoft has done is that they have supported my certification goals. They have paid for my certification. If I pass a certification, they will pay and reimburse me for my training, and they reimburse me if I pass a certification. So they have supported me in getting my PMP and other cloud certifications that are attached to my resume. And then their second part of this question is, does your skip level support your action plan to get to leadership and promotion? I've not recently got promoted at Microsoft. I'm currently working on that, but we do have an action plan on what that looks like and what I need to do. I'm looking forward to getting promoted in the near future because at this point I'm hitting those action points. I'm hitting those tasks that they or action items that they want me to hit. So right now I do have full support from my leadership team. They also allow me to do different things at once. Another reason why I like Microsoft is the flexibility. We have a great work-life balance, great work-life culture here, and we just have an opportunity to really just advance each other, even if it's outside Microsoft. So it's just all in all, just everything that's reaching my expectations, and they're definitely supporting my career development. What type of mindset characteristics do you think it takes to thrive at Microsoft? Something that we believe here at Microsoft and something that we use all the time, especially here in Microsoft Atlanta, is that growth mindset. Always be willing to do new things, try new things, always be willing to grow. So we call it the growth mindset. Always have that growth mindset. I think that's the mindset that allows you to thrive at Microsoft. If you have that growth mindset, then you're always willing to try to reach that next level or that next opportunity to make something of yourself. You mentioned, sorry for the, maybe this wasn't clear. You mentioned Afrotech. Can you repeat the conference you went to around Juneteenth? Was it Afrotech? No, Afrotech was around November, and that was in Austin, Texas. Definitely look up that conference. It's a really good conference. The conference that I mentioned during Juneteenth is something that we host here at Microsoft. It's called Empowerment Day. It is birthed here right at Blacks at Microsoft, the Atlanta chapter. Empowerment Day is our signature conference that I'm over, and I am basically the leader of planning that conference from beginning to end. And it's loaded with seminars and sessions. We have nonprofit alleys. We have so many different components going on with it, going on at Empowerment Day. And it's really just to empower our people who are just minorities or people who work at Microsoft who are minorities to want to do more and make something more of themselves. What creative tips do you recommend for those who want to stand out during their interview? One of the creative tips that I think that's creative tips that have helped me along my interview is that Towards the end of the interview, you guys are maybe all familiar with this, especially those who have probably interviewed a few times. They're going to ask you, do you have any questions for us? What questions do you provide? And I think it's very important to definitely ask questions because not only is the interview for you, but you're also interviewing them because you may find yourself as a catch, like, I'm a great candidate to want to join your organization or join the company. So I always use that opportunity to really understand what they need. So I may ask, so what is your plan between what's your short term plan between 3 or 5 years from now? So that's a question because I want to understand what is the roadmap, what is your action plan, what does your team look like, and what do you foresee your team as a leader of your team? What do you see your organization or your team being in 3 or 5 years? So I always ask that question. Another question is ask. You guys obviously know my skill set. So with my skill set right now and my present skill set, how can my skill set help your team immediately if I was to be able to join? What can my skill set do to be leveraged um, to improve your team? Or I may ask a question of what immediate impact do you think I could provide you or your team? What would you like to see from me? How do you juggle all that? Working at Microsoft, teaching part time, leading your ERG, and part time doctoral student. How time management. But my doctoral program, I forgot to mention when I got through all that. My doctoral program, I've completed all my core classes. So right now, I'm really just writing my dissertation, planning to defend that around February or March. But really, just time management, just making sure I stay time, giving myself grace, of course, giving myself my weekends to enjoy myself and live my life. But teaching, I only teach online as well. I teach that once a week, and then leading my ERG is almost like another part-time job. So it was really doable. You guys are coming in with the questions, man. I didn't think I was gonna get these many questions. Do you plan on using your knowledge and experience in cybersecurity to give back to your native country? By the way, my native country is Nigeria. Nigeria. My folks are Nigerian. I'm Nigerian. I was born and raised here. My parents were born and raised there. And this is a great question. Knowledge and experience. I have been thinking about a plan to try to tie in cybersecurity into Nigeria, which is a third world country, but I haven't figured it out yet. But I'm in the process of that. So definitely stay tuned. Connect with me on LinkedIn and see where the journey takes me with that idea. Great question. If I was recently to be put in a Microsoft database for a full-time opportunity, how likely am I to hear back with matching with a team with layoffs currently happening still? How likely are you to hear back now? Probably it's a small, I'll be honest, it's probably slim because we are on a hiring freeze. We're not hiring too much now. But if you were to check back in a few more months, regardless of whenever they lift off the hiring freeze, even a travel freeze they have going on right now for this fiscal year, if they were to lift that, it really would depend on your background and your experience. I can't answer that without a little bit more information. But right now, I do know there's a hiring freeze. But again, you can definitely sharpen your toolbox. Look at those different certification, whether if it's Azure or if it's AWS or if it's just PMP or if it's anything in your field, Tableau, Power BI, and just sharpen that toolbox and just really get involved with different organizations to make yourself stand out more. What is a good way to get yourself on a panel and to let people know you're open to speaking engagement? Again, networking is a networking opportunity. There's a lot of different organizations that maybe have conference saying, "Hey, looking for a speaker, present your resume of where you may have spoke at or why we should select you as a speaker." So there's a lot of different organizations doing that. Also, your network will come and reach out to you and ask you, "Hey, are you willing to speak on this day?" I know I had a friend recently ask me. Um, who's actually the co-founder of this organization, IO. Um, he asked me to be one of the judge slash speakers of one of his classes. So it's just really your network. Some of them will just ask you, some of them will present the opportunity. There's always a lot of conference asking for speakers. I mean, you just have to really just stay in tune with those professional organizations and understand those conferences that are coming to your city or coming to a virtual environment, and just apply to be speakers. So there's always opportunities there. Still going to some of these questions. Pop back over to the chat. Someone saying that the annual cap is 5,250. Yes, Afrotech was lit. I was looking to try and catch up to the. Okay, I see CS. So I saw something about product management, um, CSM, CSPO. So thank you for that opportunity of providing that information. Those are great uh, product management certifications. So definitely look into that. Go back to the question and answers. Are all departments across Microsoft experiencing a hiring freeze? I know there's a few marketing plus communication roles open last week and applied. Great question. I'm going to say the whole company is experiencing a hiring freeze, but that does not mean that at the top of January, just giving you an example, at the top of January, that will be lifting. You're not able to get a call back for an interview. But right now, we are doing a hiring freeze, but they are still taking resumes because I still see people there. I still see people. I was on LinkedIn recently. I think it was like last week, and I saw somebody looking for senior security program manager. Not to say they're going to hire them on the spot, but they're probably still interviewing people. So then when the hiring freeze is done, they'll be or lifted, they'll be hiring those people. Any other questions? Let's talk about some Microsoft. So some of the benefits Microsoft. I told you guys about the 10K a year. That was a big benefit that shocked me. 10K a year for tuition reimbursement. Microsoft is all about well-being and financial well-being and like your mental health and all that stuff. Microsoft, if I'm not mistaken, it gives either 1,000 or 12,000. It's something called like a program that we have here. I mean, you can use it for gym activities. If you're trying to build out a home gym, it's a free 1,200 or $1,000 budget they give you every year. You can use that for a home gym, or you can use that for cooking class, or you can use that for therapy, or you can use that for I mean, there's so many different things you can use it for. I mean, you can use that even for a bicycle, for equipment, wherever the case may be. But it's all catered towards your whole well-being, physical well-being, um, mental well-being, all that great jazz. So Microsoft definitely does a good job at that, caring and giving that benefit to you all, or giving that benefits to all the Microsoft employees. Someone asked me, "Is your work fun and enjoyable for you?" Yeah, I like my job. I think my job is a good time. I picked tech because I thought it was a job that I could wake up enough and be able to make a decent earning, live the lifestyle I once lived. Also, give me the remote flexibility and capability. But I think my job consists of two different things. So the cybersecurity part of it, yeah, it's cool. I'm a tech nerd. I like to get my hands a little dirty. I like to have technical conversations with our engineers and developers, especially around the cloud space. But another part of my job is being a part-time professor, as I mentioned, a college professor, and I think I find that truly enjoyable because I get to cultivate and I get to mold the careers of those who are interested in trying to get to the next level. And by the next level, I mean the college to career readiness. So I find it as a great opportunity to really connect with those people or the future leaders of this generation that would join me in taking over the tech space, or regardless of what you call it. So with that being said, yeah, I think overall it's fun and enjoyable. The only thing I'll be honest, the only thing I don't like about my job right now is to be on 24/7 call, but that's the nature of cybersecurity. That's my least favorite thing I would say. But again, it's only six weeks out the year, And some weeks are hectic. Some weeks you get lucky and get slow weeks. So it just really depends. But overall, I do like my job and I find it enjoyable. How do you know cybersecurity was something you wanted to do? I really didn't know. I knew I wanted to do something in tech, but tech is so vast. I mean, right? We're talking about data analytics. We're talking about UX. We talked about product management. We talked about project management. We talked about cybersecurity. I mean, there's so many different things you can do. But I think what really made me realize that cybersecurity was for me is when I started interning. I think I had like 3 internships. So for those of you guys who may be undergrad on these calls or just starting to do your master program, I can't stress this enough. I think internships are the golden key of our generation. I think it gives you the opportunity to really get your hands dirty. It makes you understand, hey, is this something I can do or see myself doing, or is this something I can't see myself doing? It gets you understand. It gets you to understand what you like and what you really don't like. So cybersecurity, I would say, was really found during my internship. My last internship, I had 3 of them. My first one was data analytics intern. I was like, this is cool. I can do it. I don't mind it. My second internship was around health IT. I do have a health IT background, and it was around project management around that time. I was like, yeah, this is cool. I really liked it. I like it. And then my third internship was like almost like an associate application security analyst, almost playing like that role at an associate level, but I was obviously an intern. So I was like a security analyst. And I was like, you know what? Bingo. Like I really enjoy this a lot. So I think internships gives you a flavor and allows you to figure out what's your niche. Where do you want to be a SME at? Where do you want to really take your career at? How does Microsoft prevent burnout from affecting its employees? How often are you expected to work past your shift? Some people ask me the hardest part of my job. The hardest part of my job, one, is being 24/7 on call when I'm on call, and that's only six weeks out the year. I know I've been mentioning that a lot. The second hardest part of my job, and I think people across all big tech companies can attest to this. The second hardest part of my job is the different time zones. So I talk to people in China. I have 3 vendors that report to me in India, and I talk to people in Seattle, which is where the headquarters at, and we're 3 hours behind. India right now is probably like 1 a.m. over there. China's probably like around 12 or 2 a.m. I'm not really sure, but I know the time zones is just crazy. So going back to the question of how you prevent burnout, and the employees, my manager, I think that's why I like my manager a lot. He's not asking me to really stand behind the computer throughout 24/7, 24/7. He just asks me to be accessible, be available, when I'm needed. So understanding that there's some room and flexibility, although, sometimes my workday may not start until 10. Sometimes my workday may start at different times. Have that flexibility to really make your own schedule and make it work for you. If you're taking a late call at 7 or 8 p.m., the next morning you're not logging in until like 11 a.m. or 12. It just really depends. So make that schedule really work for you. Make sure that you're assisting the service owners and those engineers and developers that really need your assistance. Fortune. That's what he told me. Another part that I like about Microsoft, now that you mentioned burnout, is that we have mental health hours, just like how we have PTO time or takeoff time, like vacation time. We have mental health hours. We have about, I would say, either from 60 to 80 hours out the year, where we can usually leverage that and tell, hey manager, or hey boss, or hey so and so, like I'm taking a mental day off. Like I'm taking 8 hours this day, or I'm taking 4 hours. I'll be on later on this afternoon. So Microsoft does give us that flexibility to avoid burnout, and not running and not letting it affect us, because they provide us that mental health hours to use it almost like vacation time. And it's not vacation time; it's 2 separate buckets. Are you expected to work past your shift? You're not expected. They usually, if your day is over at 5, it's over at 5. If you have a call that you need to attend at 7 p.m., well, you need, like I say, you need to attend at 7 p.m. and just make sure that it bounce back out for you the next day or later on that week, wherever you find the flexibility to do so. So another question that I see here is, after doing your internship, did you do anything else to solidify your place in security, like courses or anything? I'm in undergrad right now, so I'm curious if there's anything I could do. So what I did after I did my internship is my last internship that I enjoyed so much that I was like basically like an associate security analyst that I was telling you. I actually turned into my full time job opportunity as an actual security as an associate security analyst on the salary role. So my internship converted over as an hourly pay intern to a full time associate security analyst in the largest hospital in Georgia. I was basically in their IT department, security department there, and in that space. And from that point on, I had to make a decision if I wanted to go get my master's or if I wanted to get a certification. And people ask me that all the time. Should I go back and get my master's or should I get my certification? And for me, and since you're the one asking me this question, since you say you're an undergrad and you're really curious, I don't know your age. I don't know who you are, but my best advice is why not do both? When people ask me, what should I do next? Should I get my master's or get certification? My answer is always both. I did both. So I had the opportunity of getting my master's. I'm really big on scholarship because um, I won't say I don't believe in debt, but I would say I'm really big on scholarship. So I had a really big scholarship going to get my master's, so it could pay for some of my scholarship, so it won't be so much of a burden on me when I get out, being so much in debt. So I had a huge scholarship that I applied for, and I was able to receive. And then during that time, my program that I was actually getting my master's in, they were also willing to pay for some of my certifications that I were going for. So I did not pay for any certifications out of pocket because my master program would cover that. Like they had like a training and development bucket within the master program. It was pretty cool. So some of the things that I would say that would solidify you, or since you're an undergrad student, is really figure out where you want your next level, next move to be. Is it going to get that entry level in working part time? I mean, going to school part time? Is it still interning and getting that master's full time? Is it not getting masters and really working full time and maybe looking at certification that may interest you? It just really depends on where you see the best opportunity for you and the best benefit. But for me, my best advice is why not do both? If you're young, you're talented, go get it all. If you were to start college all over again, what route would you take to become a data analyst? Yeah, if I was to start college all over again, the first thing I would do to be a data analyst is research what a data analyst is. That's number one. I'll research to make sure I understand what a data analyst is. I'll understand what tool that I would probably be the most interested in. I'll probably may even play with a tool or two during a free trial. The second thing I would do, because I'm a college student, is definitely intern. I'll go straight to career services, have them brush up my resume. And I'm really a big advocate of career services at these university, because probably why I'm a big advocate of that is because I graduated from Georgia State University. In my freshman and sophomore year, I was a student assistant at Career Services, so I had a really quick understanding of how a good resume looks like at a really young age. And I also realized that career services at universities are underutilized, and they have all the like understanding of how a resume look. They even give you free Photoshop, a free headshot, excuse me, and they also have all the companies that are coming into these job fairs or internship fairs. So they really have the plug in to your future. So I would definitely get really cool at career services. I would use their portal to try apply for some of those internships or entry level positions. I will brush up my resume and I would definitely intern and make sure this is something I really want to do. And from that point on, before I graduate as a senior, the biggest goal that I would always tell my students who are sophomores and juniors that I teach, you should have a goal for yourself. By the time you're a senior, or by the time you're the senior level, by the time you're a senior or graduating senior, you should have at least one hot associate level certification. In this case, if it's data analyst, then look at the associate level certification for Tableau, or get Tableau certified or Power BI certified, whatever the case may be. Just something to put on your resume and just to show to other people who are looking to hire you that you have already done the due diligence and you have already got the head start amongst you and your peers. Okay. Do you recommend that we should start with any entry level position to get our foot in the door and or work our way up, or just try to get a position that we are wanting? It depends on what the opportunity is presented to yourself. So I mean, get entry level position. If you don't like it, I don't recommend doing something you don't like. But if you are somewhat interested in it and you're trying to move from different departments, then sure, it's worth the try. I know a lot of people who try to get into big tech and they may not be able to come in as a PM or TPM. So some of them may be technical account managers. They may do that for a year just to say that they got their stripes with the company, they got the experience, they understand how different things work, and they may bounce from a technical account manager to a technical PM. I've seen that all the time. I've seen that internal here. I have a lot of friends who do that. So it just really depends on how you want to move and what may interest you. So it looks like we have a few more minutes. Well, about 12 more minutes. Do we have any other questions about maybe, I know this is Microsoft. I answer a lot of Microsoft questions, how to get Microsoft tips, maybe talk a little bit about my day to day. So when I wake up, if I'm not on call this week, I may have calls or one on one with my first thing I'll do. I'll have a project scrum meeting with all the PMs that are inside the engineering service environment. We'll talk about updates, provide updates to our senior leaders, provide metrics. Really big on metrics. I started getting my hands really dirty with Power BI. Provide our trends, provide our forecasts to see if we're going to hit our OKRs, which is called our objective key results. Make sure that we're hitting our targets and our numbers of what's seen for us. From that point on, we'll have our security meeting. So whoever's on call, um, they'll provide and check the queues, see if there's any major outage or live site issues or any crazy cyber attacks that we're facing. And if there is, just all hands on deck. If it's not, then we'll continue our day. And then we'll meet. Then I'll meet with our vendors, just give them different assignments of what's supposed to happen, provide different dashboards, build our checklist for our different cloud migrations. So it's a lot of meetings throughout the day, but it's a lot of technical conversations that are happening throughout the day. It just really depends. But if you're on call, sometimes you have to drop what you're doing when it comes down to these different projects, such as the cloud migration project that I'm working on, and really focus on being on call that whole day. What is it like when there's a cyber attack? So that's a great question. When there's a cyber attack, the first thing you want to do is understand the cyber attack. So you have all your security come together. You understand, you assess, you evaluate the issue. If it's really major, sometimes you may have to turn off the machine. If, like, let's say there's a cyber attack, like there's malware on the machine, or there's somewhere, well, you may have to turn off the virtual machine, or maybe you saw that somebody downloaded a enormous amount of code, or somebody's stealing code. You have to make sure that it's not part of the job and where the account. So we're really trying to trace the issue. From that point on, you basically set up a call called the SERP. The SERP call is basically everybody that has been exposed to this attack, everybody that all the security professionals and personnel and everybody's being exposed to attack. You all are on the call, and you're really trying to understand the breakdown of how to basically minimize this risk or reduce this risk. See, let me go back to the chat. I'll see you guys are definitely sharing LinkedIn. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn as well. I think my first and last name, my bio's here. Or I think I already have my card up, my profile. If you look me up, you can just click on my LinkedIn icon, and definitely feel free to connect with me. Happy to answer any additional more questions going there. Someone said the goal is to get hired at Microsoft before May, so I could attend Empowerment Day. Yeah, Empowerment Day is dope. What is like any advice? Anybody interested in joining Anybody interested in joining Microsoft? Interested in Microsoft? What ideal roles? I mean, I didn't even understand like what ideal these people. I guess with you all being here, about 60 people. Do we have any cybersecurity people in the building? Data analytics. Just drop in what your field of study is, or what your program of study is. It like are you I see a security engineering? We have data analytics here, data analysts here, UX DevOps. We have software engineers coming through. Graduate as a PM. We have any TPMs here? PMs in here? Any tech sales folks in here? IT support. Lead program. That's dope. Data analytics. What's your favorite data analytics tool? Any good tools you guys recommend? Always good to use people. Python's an amazing tool. I think Python's one of the hottest languages right now. Always good to use and leverage it. So we have some great gems in here. Somebody say they love Python. Somebody's learning Splunk now. Splunk is huge. Yeah. Hope you guys are all connecting with each other, chatting with each other in the portal. Seems like we have a lot of dope individuals here. We got any PMs? Anybody with their PMP? I saw somebody earlier had their PMP. PMP in the building. Yes, sir. Yeah, Jill J. That's why I saw PMP. Salesforce Tableau. I heard Salesforce is huge. Has great culture too. I just have mine. Okay, that's good. CSM. That's good. Got to know a little bit of you guys. So yeah, man, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Definitely an opportunity. It was a great opportunity to talk to you all. Yes, you guys have been amazing. You guys have provided a lot of great information. Definitely appreciate it. Definitely appreciate all the questions. We got a lot of questions, a lot more questions than I was thinking. Back to you.
Guy, we in here, man. Fortune, I appreciate you, man. This was awesome. It was coming with the questions. Man, fun fact, this is actually my next door neighbor right here, man. So
I didn't want to say that, but yeah.
Yeah. So all I had to do was tap him and say, hey, man, I need you for this, man. He does me so many favors, man. So big shout out to you for all the work you're doing, man. So make sure y'all connect with him. I'm sure if you haven't, man, make sure you drop your LinkedIn. I know people can also use the Hopper platform to connect with you as well, too, man.